Hey, it's Shane with GotRom.com. This video is about my top 5 flexibility and mobility drills to do pre-workout. So just before you get into the gym and you're going to squat or deadlift or do anything lower body, these are the drills you should do. Now, I've seen some of these drills in gyms, and there's 2 ways you can do it. You can do it in a very stiff, kind of robotic way where you're just kind of going through the motions, or you can do it in a way where you're really trying to create space in your hips and get prepped for very advanced things like front squats, back squats, overhead squats, etc. So really kind of pay attention to the subtleties of these movements and really open up your hips rather than just go through the motions. So let's check it out. The first exercise is downward dog, or sometimes known as inchworms in the gym, and this is going to stretch your hamstrings, but I want you to get every fiber of your hamstrings, every corner. So start out with just your basic inchworm or downward dog position, and then you're going to come up into a forward fold, turn your palms down and do little bounces, move to the side, wiggle, grab your own ankles or your shins if you can, lift up, lower back down. Test out all the different ways of stretching the hamstrings. Then we're going to switch over to getting the hips, the hip rotators, and the glutes. This is important for any athlete, anyone who's in the gym lifting weights. So you're going to twist your thigh out to the side and look away, or you're going to bring an elbow down to the ground, wiggle, pry. If you're an athlete who runs, it's also important. Shown from another angle, I twist kind of my belly button towards my shin. I'm wiggling around, making little hip circles. It's very active. And if you're doing back squats, high bar or low bar, any type of squatting, then opening your hips up in this way is super important. I spent I don't know how many hours kind of exploring this position. You can pin your foot down with your hand. And then when you're ready to move on to the next one, we're going to get the quadriceps, the rectus femoris primarily. When we go into hip extension and knee flexion, we're getting kind of rectus femoris, one of the major hip flexors. So I'm propping my shoulder on my thigh for support, or I can bring my hand down. If you have the flexibility, you can even bring your elbow down to the ground, but the stretch is on the back leg. Shown from another angle. Again, I'm pinning my foot down. I can do all my kind of hip mobility drills for the glutes on that side. But then when I'm ready to get my quads, I reach back, pull the heel towards the butt. You might not get all the way to the butt, but heel towards the butt. And then you move into hip extension, which means push the hip crease forward a little bit. You should feel the stretch in the middle of the muscle belly, in the middle of your thigh, not too high, not too low down by the knee. Next, we're going to get the piriformis muscle and all of the deep hip rotators. So to do that, we simply flow right into kind of a active pigeon pose where I'm kind of coming up and down. And this is getting all of the glute muscles. This isn't just piriformis. But from here, I like to finally, after a few active pigeons, kind of fall into this twisting pigeon where I am using my forearm to twist my thigh externally, or I can reach in the opposite direction. See what that does. Another good one is to rest your shoulder on your knee and the other shoulder on the opposite ankle. This is pretty advanced, so don't worry if you're not quite there. You also can come up a little bit higher and see how that changes the stretch. The point is you got to explore all the angles, all the vectors, all the positions. Shown from the front, I'm going kind of Spider-Man crawl, followed by active pigeon, followed by pigeon twist, and I'm actively putting pressure on my femur, my thigh, to externally rotate it, which lets me sink deeper into the stretch. Or I can go in the opposite direction. Make sure that you're feeling no stress on your knee. If you need to flex and evert your foot, which means bring the pinky toe towards the knee to kind of stabilize and protect the knee. After that, we're going to go after your psoas and iliacus muscles with your basic hip flexor stretch shape, but with some variations. This is the target here. And you kind of wiggle around. This is seen in all kinds of disciplines, from yoga, has versions of this. When you're lunging, you need this hip extension on the back leg to allow you to keep a good spinal position. Or if you're doing a split jerk in Olympic weightlifting, like I'm doing in this video, all of that requires hip extension, and these stretches give you that. I like to reach up with my hand and also micro side bend away from the trail leg, the leg that's behind. I kind of side bend away from it, but I'm always making sure to maintain a crunched position. That means that I'm not hyperextending my low back, so I'm kind of bringing my rib cage down as if I'm crunching while I'm doing these hip flexor stretches. Shown from another angle, look how I post up with my hands and I'm crunched. I micro side bend. Maybe I reach up like a long rainbow on the side of my body. All of that catches a little bit of the different parts of the psoas and iliacus. And notice I'm always emphasizing that core positioning. That's it.
So those are my top 5 hip flexibility and mobility drills to do pre-workout. Give them a shot. Don't just go through the motions. Pay attention to the subtle details. Pry, wiggle around, find the little corners of your hip. And I think that your snatching, squatting, overhead squatting, back squatting, deadlifting will all feel much better for it. So let me know which one was your favorite in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.